Come in, Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now transmitting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with President of the California Taxpayers Union, Mike Alexander, and editor of the Taxpayer Gazette, Jonathan Wilson.
All right, back with you, everybody here. It's only been a week. Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, Radio Free Los Angeles. Glad to be back here with you. If you'd like to be part of the show tonight, and we'd love to hear from you, our telephone number is 866-870-5752. Now, you weren't with us last week,
I was
were you?
not. No.
Yeah, well, we missed you. Unfortunately, a good friend of his lost a member of his family, and Jonathan had to assist in getting the gentleman to the airport. So we're glad that we have you back. Now, we got one report here from last week, that from the previous week, that we weren't able to hear Jonathan fully on the microphone. So if for any reason you hear me talking with Jonathan and whatnot, call in and let us know. And by the way, we're also on Facebook. How do they connect with us on Facebook, Jonathan?
Well, go to our page, Radio Free Los Angeles on Facebook, and you can see our live video stream. You can see us right here in the studio. And by the way, it's awards night.
Yeah, yeah. I know we have competition here. Yeah, although I think our stuff's funnier than their stuff. But we're going to do our Government Grifter of the Week award, which I only do when Jonathan's here. But we want to scold the audience a little bit here. We're not getting much help from you. I mean, our listeners are out there in every city, and they've got government grifters everywhere as far as the eye can see, and we really need more help from you. Now, if you want to become a special caller and contributor, this is, after all, the Academy Awards night, so we're going for the gold here. How do they search for their own Government Grifter of the Week, Jonathan?
Well, we'll have it up on the website here shortly. So
okay, yeah. That's going to involve going to Transparent California. Once he gets the link up there, we'll talk about it. So we have a good program for you here tonight. I've got a little bit of an opening essay that I want to do for you tonight, and I think I'm going to do it a little bit more often, and then put it up on the. And also, we want to tell you about the exciting event that we had yesterday.
Yeah, it was a great event. Yeah,
and that event was one of our initial training sessions. Excuse me. One of our initial training sessions for our school choice campaign, and it was wonderful. We had some on-fire young people, brand new people that we've never met before, just wonderful, and several of them were listeners to the show, which is why they came to our meetings. So, those lovely young ladies, we want to thank them. And what were their names again? Do you recall?
Well, I know I met Judy and Ruby.
Yeah. Well, Judy and Ruby, and you other two, and then there was Sunny.
Oh, Sunny, that's correct.
Yeah. Sunny was there, and the fourth lady. Hey, we love you, but I forgot your name. Feel free to call in, give us your impressions about the show and so forth. We'd love to talk to you, but we'll get more into to that here later on in the show, along with the Government Grifter of the Week award. So this week has been filled with a lot of news, and I don't want to go too much to the national news, although I've got some things to say about McCabe and some of these other people. But the first thing that I want to talk to all of you about is the issue of gerrymandering or gerrymandering and its different manifestations in modern life. Here in the United States, our elections still matter. You still have to go to the people to get the votes from the people. We have not yet arrived at the point where the elections are suspended or have become wholly meaningless as they are in some totalitarian nations. I think there are powerful forces in our country that would like to avoid our elections, but they can't, and so they have to subvert them. Now, there are a number of ways in which to fix, rig, or alter the outcome of an election. And let me tell you, the number one way that you can't alter an election is by colluding with the so-called stupid Russians. So let's clear that one out. I'm going to talk about real election tactics or tampering, if you will. Gerrymandering, or as it's more properly pronounced, gerrymandering, named after Governor Gary, who was the governor of Massachusetts back in 1812, who succeeded in redrawing the district lines in the state of Massachusetts. And by the time he got done rigging the votes, and the shape of the district that he constructed to achieve his electoral victory, in the opinion of they took Eldridge Gary's name, Gary, part of it, and appended it to salamander and developed a little bit of a conjunction called gerrymander. That is gerrymandering.
Wow, that's
okay?
Interesting. How did
So
you know that?
that's the etymology of the term gerrymandering or gerrymandering. It's fine, whichever way you want to pronounce it. But what gerrymandering involves is a process where you divide up the opposition and convert them into minorities within dominant districts. So if you have a particular area that is really, really heavily Democratic and you're the Republican Party in charge, you try to redraw those districts so that you divide up those who are in the opposition party into safe districts, which helps to ensure that you elect a safe a candidate there. And, of course, it works the reverse as well. And this is a process that over the years that has been defined, as I recall, by the Wall Street Journal as a process in which representatives choose their constituents rather than the reverse, the way it's supposed to be, where the citizens, that is the constituents, choose their representatives. So that's one way in which modern legislatures, actually it's not modern, as I just told you, the practice is over 200 years old in our country, but they're taking it to new levels, using computers to study and redefine these districts, and these redistricting battles go on in every state of the union, each and every 10 years, and that's why so much is at stake in the census process that is coming up right now. They want to know how many illegals and citizens, therefore, are in the homes, so that when we determine the population of our Congress, the number of congressional seats we have, and the actual population or the character of the population in the United States, we know whether we're counting citizens or counting people. And right now, because we're counting people rather than citizens, in many states, for example, California and in Texas, they are gaining congressional seats through the growth not of citizens but the growth of persons. So there's an active controversy there. Now the one way, this is one way in which they do it, rig the outcome of elections. The second way in which they rig the outcome of elections, I've already referred to. Another way in which they choose their constituents rather than having constituents choose them is illegal immigration. And one of the ways that you can rig future elections is to bring in people into your state, or in this case, into your country, who agree with you or who are likely to agree with you. and that is the role of illegal immigration in our society. It's just another example, a modern example of gerrymandering or gerrymandering. The third way in which elections are rigged, however, usually evades the attention of the electorate who prefer to focus on voter fraud. Let me talk about voter fraud for a moment. We had our good friend here a few weeks ago from the Election Integrity Project, Linda Payne, who talked about how, in this case, mostly Democrats steal elections. And that really, by and large, is how the Democrat Party or a minority party moves from 48 to 50%. By stealing 2 or 3%. It's simply impossible to steal more than that. And so conservatives and Republicans have spent a tremendous amount of time on a fairly narrow part of the formula here, or of the overall situation. They pay insufficient attention to redistricting. They're paying a lot more attention to illegal immigration these days, but then they spend a lot of time on how Democrats move from 48 to 50%. But I think that the more interesting and compelling question is how they move from 0 to 48. And the way that they move from 0 to 48 is, of course, the government school, because that's the place where they change minds. Children come in from normal American families, and they teach them the things that they want them to learn. They teach them to think about them the way that they want them to think about them. They teach the children how to think about government. They give them a constant flow of ideas, and as we've spoken many times, this child wakes up in government-subsidized housing. If he eats breakfast at home or at school, he's eating food that's provided by the government. He will ride to school in a government-funded and paid bus. He will sit in a desk paid by the government. He will hear government-approved thoughts and read government-approved books and texts prescribed to him and taught to him by a government employee. And at the end of the day, he'll play government-approved sports. He'll take that same government bus back home. He will have all kinds of things that are taught with him during the day. He will be taught how to think about sex, about the government, how to think about the family. And really, ladies and gentlemen, that kid is going to be taught how to think about you and about me. And those thoughts aren't very nice. And the whole purpose of the exercise, of course, is to convert this young child into a creature of government who will vote the way that they want him to. This is another way in which they choose their constituents, and it's the most pernicious and effective methodology. And all they're doing, of course, is preparing to send these kids at age 18 or thereabouts onto their colleges, where the propaganda and brainwashing and coercion will increase to fever pitch. And then when we're all done going to these government schools, the whole idea is that somehow this child, boy or girl, will have achieved a sufficient level of independence of thought to critically judge the government and to be the person who is then going to control and direct government than the other way around. And as a matter of fact, they produce little automatons who are prepared to approve the actions of government. They like big government, they like central control, and they're just not prepared to question what government does. And that's the whole idea of the process, and the rest of us are just left out there fighting with it. So that's my opening essay. And you can see that that election fraud is small potatoes, and that's why we in and the California Taxpayers Association are working with others in the formation of School Choice 2020 and plan to put school choice on the ballot in 2020. And we're going to come back to that important thing. We've got some callers here. And if you want to be part of the program, you can reach us at 866
870-5752. And by the way, we talked about the government grifter nominees for tonight. They're going to be from LAUSD.
Yeah, of course.
And I just posted the link to all the 2017 salaries on our Facebook page. So go on there, comb through the list, and send us your nominations for tonight.
Yeah, you send them in on Facebook, or you can call in. Or do whatever you want. We'd love to hear from you. Right now we have Mike from El Segundo who wants to talk about electoral issues. How are you this evening, Mike? Good to hear from you again.
Hi, fine. Thank you very much, Mike. You did an excellent discussion of gerrymandering and election fraud, as well as how the real fraud is taking place in the schools. I agree with you there, because they get a much bigger percentage of the votes there.
Thank you.
Through communist indoctrination.
Yeah, and by the way, you've seen these proposals to reduce the voting age to age 16.
I was going to mention that. Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take your thunder.
No, that's fine. No. Let's have a good up-and-back dialogue on this. This is excellent. In fact, at the same time, the Democrats passed a law in California to say that you cannot purchase even a rifle or shotgun until you are age 21.
Right.
So here on the one hand, they're denying people their self-defense rights, their God-given, constitutionally protected self-defense rights, where you can have a family and kids and serve in the military, but you're not allowed to own a gun because they claim they don't trust you, and yet they want 16-year-olds to vote because they know they'll vote Democrat. They're going to vote Republican up until age 25. They say you should not vote, until you're age 25.
That's right.
The illegal aliens, if the illegal aliens all woke up or got educated and realized the Democrats are not their friends, they're their socialist and communist enemies, and they were all going to vote Republican, then they would want to build that wall as fast as you could at the border for security.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Mike, here's something we were kicking around here last week. I won't say if, I'll be positive and say when we get school choice here in the state of California, you've got to wonder about the consequences of it. How many people who are moving out of California would move back to California in order to have access to private schooling?
That is a very interesting question. There's still other issues. If the the state, and many of the cities in the state are going third world on us because of the massive illegal immigration. So it's becoming more and more like living in a third world country. The Democrats have been passing laws, in addition to the Democrat-supported Propositions 4757. There's also state laws that have been getting passed under Democrats to let out more and more murderers, rapists, robbers, car thieves, you name it. And crime has been going up. We had a rape in El Segundo not that long ago, and we're a little small city. We usually don't have those kind of problems.
Oh yeah, you guys are what, 2 or 3 stoplights, excluding the Chevron plant?
Yeah, it's
just a beautiful little city.
We're roughly, I think it's about 5.5 square miles.
A
population of around 16,500 people or so. Exactly.
Right. And 4,000 of them are on the South Runway at LAX. It's a beautiful little city.
Now, Mike, I want to add to some of the things you said about the election corruption the Democrats are engaging in. I want to point out that what happens is when Democrats gain power, even if it's a small majority power, once they have, and now here they have like 2/3 majority, plus the governorship and the state legislature and the governor. So they have a big power in California. But when they gain power, what they start doing is acting out their socialist and communist dictator tendencies. So they start changing the electoral system to get to the point where they will never lose elections in the future. So some of the things they've been doing, I want to talk about. One of them is they've forced cities and counties advantage to the Democrat Party and candidates supported by the public and private sector labor unions. because what it does is it means that, say, if you want to run for city council in a small city like El Segundo, instead of your election being in April, being separate from the June or November statewide elections, now you're lumped in with all these other candidates running for the June primary or for the they've moved that already, but running in either the primary or the general election.
Yeah, we had that. Yeah, Mike, we had 2 or 3. We had at least 2 utility user tax initiatives shifted by the cities to the November election. One is Sierra Madre, and then the other happened in, I think I might be wrong on Sierra Madre, but I know that we had the one in South Pasadena. And then you're trying to get attention in the middle of a presidential election.
Not only that, you have to spend a lot more campaign money, have a lot more volunteers going door to door, because there's a lot more voters turning out for the primary or the general election. And we, at the grassroots level, we honest citizens and taxpayers don't have that kind of money generally. The unions have unlimited money because they confiscate it. They have the government confiscated out of the employees' paychecks. And they say you cannot have the job unless you join the union. Of course, that's been fixed by the Supreme Court somewhat for public sector unions, but they have to know to opt out, I believe. But for these, you still can be forced to either join the union or at least pay the equivalent amount of union dues. So there's or contribute to a so-called charity selected by the union, which is probably a left-wing activist, community organizing organization. And by the way, speaking of that, have you ever heard of an organization called the Southwest Voter Registration Education Project?
No, you got me, but you're going to tell me who they are.
Yes, back in 1994 at a Republican dinner, we had a guest speaker, and she had firsthand knowledge of it. And she said that she had personally witnessed them registering illegal aliens to vote and telling them that if you did not register and vote for the primary election, you have to register twice and vote twice in the general election, or you could lose your right to ever become a U.S. citizen. And then that guest speaker handed out copies of one of their flyers, and I got one of those copies. I looked it over. It was in English and Spanish. A picture of Abraham Lincoln, did not say that he was Republican, of course. A picture of Ronald Reagan, did not say he was Republican. And I think there's another picture, I believe, of John Kennedy. It was all oriented towards registering these illegal aliens to vote Democrat. And it said that the only requirement said to vote is that you have to be 18 years old. It never said that you have to be a U.S. citizen or you are committing a crime if you register to vote and you're not a U.S. citizen.
That's right. There's massive fraud out there. And by the way, that music that you hear means that I'm up on the half-hour break, hard break. I want to thank you for calling in, Mike, as usual. It's a great call. And I would just make the additional comment that this is another illustration of the problem with bilingual anything, because we are unaware of things that are being said to our fellow citizens or prospective voters because they're being talked to in Spanish or Cambodian or Korean or whatever, when we should be speaking with one language. We're coming up on the break. Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, RadioFreeLosAngeles.net. Go there, sign up, be part of this. Remember, this is citizen-sponsored radio. We'll see you after the break.
Come in, Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now transmitting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with President of the California Taxpayers Union, Mike Alexander, and editor of the Taxpayer Gazette, Jonathan Wilson.
And thank you, Jeff, our excellent man in the control booth there. And thank you, Brooke, our indefatigable screener there. We appreciate your help. We have one of the great crews around.
And by the way, I think Brooke was invited to the Academy Awards tonight, and she declined. Because
she did?
Yes, to support our show tonight.
Oh, I'm touched. Really. And she had that outfit all picked out, did she?
I know. So
oh, my goodness. All right. Well, we missed
a team
that.
Player.
Well, thank you, Brooke. Thank you. Hey, it's good night. I hope that the Academy Awards over. I can recall a time when I really enjoyed watching them. And
you can? I can't.
I can, yeah. Well,
I think maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah,
probably.
but I'm a little bit older than you are. And, we go back to the...
Can you name one of the movies nominated tonight? I know A Star is Born because I was talking to I was getting my haircut today. What do you think of my haircut?
Oh, you got a
cut
haircut?
A lot off today.
Well, I tell you what, I'll give you.
My hairstylist was talking about the Academy Awards.
You're what? A hairstylist?
Whatever you call it.
I have a barber.
Supercuts. What do they call
it?
Hey. My beautician?
No. Guys have barbers, all right?
Okay.
Now, I'm suspicious
all
of
right,
people
my barber,
have stylists.
My barber was telling me about A Star is Born. She said she liked the movie.
Okay. All right.
So I probably won't go see it, but...
Yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody is nominated. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, there was another one, the Green Book.
Okay. All right.
I've seen the previews on that. I've not seen it. What I like most about it was that 62 Cadillac that was in there because we had one just like it, only was white.
That looks like a pretty good movie.
It does.
I might see that.
And the kids, my grandkids saw The Return to Mary Poppins. It was a very good movie.
Oh, yeah, okay.
As always, there are movies that will come out. The big winners are not always the winners.
That's right. Well, I tell you, the Academy Awards has nothing on the Government Grifter Awards.
Yeah.
Did you see the red carpet out on Brand tonight?
We did, yeah. Yeah. We had that guy downstairs vacuuming.
We've invited all these government employees, and nobody showed up tonight.
I know.
We set up bleachers and everything.
Yeah, we're giving you awards. Come on, you slackers, show up. Yeah, and by the way, you go on Facebook and you click that. Is it also on our webpage?
It is not. You have to go to our Facebook page, and I've posted it on the video feed and also on the Facebook page itself.
Right.
And we want to encourage everyone to participate tonight because this is award season.
Yeah, it is.
Send in your nominees. Go to the link. Take a look at all the 2017 pay and benefits for these LAUSD employees.
Right.
I've got a few nominees myself, but we want to include the audience tonight.
That's it, man. You guys could have to do work. This is a citizen effort here. So go there and search on the words drama.
I already did that. Nothing came up under drama.
I know. It's got to be arts. These people are scamming. Yeah, but in any event, go there. You really should. transparentcalifornia.com. Go there. Look at the website. It's excellent. Click and cry is what you will do because there's a lot out there. We
should offer some sort of award for the nominees tonight. I don't know.
I've got a caller. Well, let me take this caller first, and then I want to get back to Governor Newsom's latest proposal. Linda from Burbank, how are you this evening, ma'am?
I am furious over what I heard this afternoon on the news.
Which one? Or which thing?
California.
Yes.
That woman got chose for the head of the California Republican Party.
Yes. Now that gal here, and I was going to look at that a little bit later. That woman, her name is Jessica Milan Patterson, and according to the Drudge Report, actually linked to that, and it was interesting because just above the link to this article about the election of the new chairwoman or chair, whatever they're calling themselves these days, of the California Republican Party, right above that was a link that was saying that Trump's secret weapon for the next election, 2020, is his strength among Latino voters. I don't doubt it. I think, by the way, he has increasing strength among black voters and black male voters. I think it's quite interesting. But at any rate, this link here to this Jessica Milan Patterson emphasized this is a San Francisco Chronicle Here it said the California Republican Party elected Jessica Milan Patterson as its chairwoman, making her the first woman and the first Latina to lead the 140-year-old organization. The 38-year-old Patterson, a longtime political operative who was raised in Hacienda Heights, which is Los Angeles County, of course, and lives in Ventura County, promised to expand the beleaguered party into communities of color, Latinos and Asian Americans in particular. Into communities of color, period. Latinos and Asian Americans in particular have been fleeing the party for decades as the GOP adopted harsh rhetoric and restrictive policies on immigration. And here's what she was quoted as saying, and I'd like to hear somebody call in and tell me how all of this is going to happen. Here's what she said, quote, "Let's serve notice to the Democrats in California that we are back. And we are ready to deliver on the Republican comeback," Patterson said Sunday. "We're going to take the fight to Democrats. We're going to fight them in the press, at community gatherings, and we're going to beat them in elections," end of quote. Patterson has long-standing ties with the party's deep-pocketed donors as executive director of California Trailblazers, an organization that trains Republican candidates. By the way, you know what the initials for executive director are, don't you?
ED.
You got it. All right.
Even I know that.
She has extensive experience in the field, having worked on GOP campaigns for former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, 2010 gubernatorial candidate. Yeah. You got it. Okay, go ahead.
And last night on Mo Kelly, he had on Travis Allen, and he said that she is a never-Trumper. She's an establishment, and she has open borders.
I don't doubt it. Yeah. But we're gonna get this woman on here and see if she wants.
I don't know why it matters, though. Really, I mean, you and I debated before we went on the show tonight. Mm-hmm. Who cares who's in charge of the Republican Party in California?
I'd rather have Travis Allen than her.
Yeah, but the Republican Party's ineffective, and it's not ever going to be effective. So why? You know what I mean? I can't. Drudge actually linked to that tonight.
Yeah,
I can't believe that.
Well, to a certain extent, let me
maybe Linda can answer. Why do you think it's important who's in charge of the Republican Party in California?
She's going to ruin the Republican Party.
Well, it's already ruined.
Allen would have improved it.
Well, it'd be hard not to improve the party. One might argue that this Patterson gal could hardly do worse than has been done. And I actually think that the Republican Party's trials and travails began in 2010. In fact, you could argue that it started with Schwarzenegger, whom she worked for. And by the way, here's the three people that she worked for. She said was Schwarzenegger, 2010 gubernatorial candidate Meg Whitman, and then 2008 presidential candidate Rudy Giuliani. So the way that I see it is she's worked for three people who lost. So I'd like to see somebody with a track record of victory, of at least getting something done. I've got my own experience with those California Trailblazers. I think that these people have insisted upon training people, selecting the candidates, and then running their campaigns, and they just don't have a track record of victory. They spend a lot of money. I think that the pathway back to success, not so much for Republicans, Linda, if you're like me, and I don't know, I should probably ask you rather than to attribute this to you, but in my view, most most Republicans are Republicans because that party will help them to implement their principles. So the principles that I espouse are rejected completely by the other major party, and only half embraced by the Republican Party, but that's why I'm there. But I'm most interested in implementing my principles and achieving the policies that those principles require us to work on. And from that perspective, if we look at how we're going to get conservative, principled outcomes, it's probably not going to be through the candidate process in the next several years. It's going to be through the initiative process on such initiatives as we talked about, tax reform, gas tax repeal, like Carl DeMaio attempted to do, and so forth. What's your feeling about that, Linda?
The last Republican governor I liked was Pete Wilson because he upholded Prop 187. Yes.
Yeah, and Dan Lundgren tried to as Attorney General, and of course, as soon as what did they call him, Grayout Davis? As soon as Davis got in, they abandoned that appeal.
Some judge, to overturn it.
Yeah, I think if you go back and look at the procedural history of that appeal, they lost it at trial. Then it was appealed, and while it was on appeal, Dan Lundgren lost the gubernatorial race. Davis won. Davis appointed his own attorney general, and they abandoned that appeal, right? Yeah, so the fix was in. They didn't even attempt to defend
I didn't know about that part.
Yeah, that's right. Check it out. Check it out.
To Judge Fitzwater.
Yeah, we'll check that out. So, Linda?
I have a real quick question, Linda, and I'm sorry for being so negative about the Republican Party in California. But yeah, I would like to give Travis Allen a chance. Why do you think he'd be good for the Republican Party?
Well, when I heard him last night, when he was saying that he can, stop illegal immigration in California.
Okay.
He's not open borders. He's talking about like there is a water crisis. How like this Governor Newsom wants to want to do water tax. He would do away with water tax, gas tax. All these frivolous taxes.
Yeah. So you're saying he's just got real good conservative credentials.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and it seems like he generates some excitement.
He does.
Yeah.
But so did Cox. Well, look, Linda, thanks very much for calling in tonight. We love having you on, as always. And for the rest of you out there who would like to be part of the program, the telephone number is 866-870-5752. And also, you need to visit radiofreelosangeles.net. Go there. Click, sign up so you can get our emails and also to contribute there. I think you've got new contribution links up there.
We're ready to go.
Why don't you talk with our audience about that?
Please visit our website. You can go to actually a good website to visit for us is schoolchoice2020.org. And there's a donate link, and you can sign up for $5 a month. I mean, I think everybody could afford $5 a month.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to talk more about school choice in the next half hour. Before we move on to this one, I'd like to talk about another subject, just to kind of continue my essay just a tad here, and it's my deep concern about what transpired this past week and really over the last several months, in which it becomes increasingly clear that people inside of our government, specifically the FBI and a whole lot of other people, were actively trying to overturn the election and to get Trump out of there without ever specifying what this guy actually did. They continue, and this despicable man, McCabe, a man who was found to be lying by the Inspector General, who, by the way, Horowitz, this guy, I think is a Democrat, and he began his investigation of the FBI and how Hillary Clinton's email scandal was being investigated and handled. They began that while Obama was still president, and it's continued. This guy's being investigated by a grand jury. This guy's still out there with so many other people, still pushing this idea that Trump somehow colluded with the Russian, whatever collusion means in its particular term. This investigation still hangs out there without any specific crime ever having been identified or articulated, and we have these people inside of our system disobeying their oaths that they took as FBI agents, and many of the others who have disobeyed their oaths and have chosen a president. And what's ironic about it, what drives me nuts, two things. Whatever it is, if this guy Trump had actually done something, and I don't know what that something is, but whatever it is that he did, that if he did something, the McCabe and the rest of this FBI trash seems so certain of in the press, if he did that, then that means that Trump is a traitor. And that means that Trump should have been out of town inside about 30 to 60 days, and instead of investigating for another year or two, if they had the goods on this man, they owed it to the people of the United States to get a traitor out of office. And what is it that they're ultimately saying? They're saying that Donald Trump stole the election. Right. That is, that Donald Trump, whatever it was,
with no evidence.
With no evidence, yeah. But let's assume that evidence exists. Yeah. They're saying that this guy interfered with the proper expression of with the American people's expression of their choice for president. Okay, fine and dandy. That justifies getting rid of him. Well, Mr. McCabe and all the rest of you people, isn't that exactly what you're doing at this point? Isn't that what you're doing by usurping the electoral process and refusing to resort to our properly prescribed legal remedies, that is, via impeachment? If you have this evidence, why is it that you haven't filed it? What you're doing is illegally and improperly interfering with the electoral process. I'm sorry, Mr. McCabe, and all the rest of you people out there, whether you like Trump, hate him, or whatever, I'm sorry, but right now we have a presumption of a duly elected president, and you guys don't have a voice in this process.
And they can't stand it.
No,
that's the problem.
And I don't have
it. It's driving them crazy that they had no say in this.
Right. Yeah. What's the next step? Somebody is dissatisfied with the president, and he's a usurper out there, and they decide on the strength of all this madness to go attempt to assassinate somebody. When you start violating the law, when you cross that line, Mr. McCabe, and all the rest of you, you're setting in force a lot of emotions in society, and there are crazy people out there that listen to this stuff, and it may be just politics and kicks and giggles for you guys, but this is a very serious thing. This is our Constitution. And it reminds me, did you ever see that movie, Judgment at Nuremberg?
No.
All right. Otto Preminger, however you want to pronounce his name. This was made in black and white, and it was a drama built around the Nuremberg trials, and the drama involved several defendants who were on trial in Nuremberg for war crimes. You had the usual variety of Nazi generals. Then you had one guy, a German judge, who was portrayed by Burt Lancaster. And the drama gets going and centers around Spencer Tracy's character, who comes to to Nuremberg. He's a judge from somewhere in the United States, maybe the West, and he's going to hear the evidence in this trial. And the prosecuting attorney in that case, I remember well, who was the guy for Star Trek, Captain whatever his
Kirk?
name? Captain Kirk. Who's the actor's name? We all know him.
Yeah.
I can't think of. But he was the
Shatner. William Shatner.
William Shatner. He was a young prosecuting attorney there, and then there was a German actor as well. Oh, I'll think of his name in a minute. He speaks German and English, but he spoke English in this. But he's defending
Widmark. Richard
No,
Widmark?
Richard Widmark was one of the prosecutors. Yeah,
I just pulled it up on IMDb.
Well, who was the guy who played the German?
Oh, Maximilian Schell.
Maximilian Schell. He's brilliant in that role. But in any event, what I found most poignant was that the evidence in the case centered around what this German judge, portrayed by Burt Lancaster, had done, and they had the characters going up there talking about how they had been improperly convicted, and on the strength of what he had done, they were sent to camps and, of course, executed, tortured. Unfortunately, the kinds of things that we're all too familiar with about what the Germans had done during the war. So Spencer Tracy, listens to all of this, listens even to the judge himself, this Burt Lancaster character, talk, and he ultimately finds them guilty. Then we see Spencer Tracy packing up to go home when he gets a note from this German judge, from Burt Lancaster's character, saying he would like to see him before he leaves. So in the high point of the drama, which is not the trial, he enters the cell where Lancaster is, and Lancaster says, "I just want you to know, Judge, that I appreciate what you did. You did your duty, and I respect your judgment outcome. But I also want you to know that when I did what I did, I never knew that it would come to this." And Spencer Tracy's poignant response was, "Here, Gruber, the first time that you violated your oath, it had to come to this. Mr. McCabe, you can't violate your oath. Army officers, you can't violate your oath. Senators, congressmen, presidents, you can't violate your oath. You violate the Constitution, that's what it comes to." And that is the sad state that we find ourselves in which people go outside of our system to make their own judgments. That's why we have elections. Well, that music means that we're up at the end of our first hour. We're going to go to the news and traffic and whatnot. And we'll see you right afterwards. We're going to take some more calls. Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, Radio Free Los Angeles. Go to radiofreelosangeles.net. Sign up, be a part of the program. Thank you.
Come in, Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now transmitting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with President of the California Taxpayers Union, Mike Alexander, and editor of the Taxpayer Gazette, Jonathan Wilson.
All right, thank you, Jeff, for the cue. I'll try not to blow it after this. Jonathan Wilson and Mike Alexander.
Yeah, coming up at the end of this half hour, get your popcorn ready.
Yeah.
It's Government Grifter of the Week Awards.
Hey, we want you to call in.
I've got goosebumps and butterflies all at the same time.
Yeah, come on, man. You guys got to help us out there.
We do have Nick from Virginia sent in a nominee, and it's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll leave with that, Nick. We got you covered here. Hey, as we're talking about scams and schemers, I want to go back and pick up something. I remember Dinesh D'Souza's movie. I think it was Hillary's America or something like that. And the punchline in there was never drop the con. I'll give you the background of the movie one of these times. But never drop the con. And as we see, when it comes with McCabe and all these people, you never drop the con. And the answer was, even when you get caught, especially when you get caught, never drop the con.
I was thinking of that this weekend because that Jussie Smollett is not dropping his con.
He's not, no.
But eventually you kind of look foolish.
Yeah, let's go to the varsity of con artists here, and we're right here in the state of California. So I was minding my own business this morning, having a cup of coffee and smoking a cigar, and reading California's Flash Report when I came across this story about this moron. That would be our new governor, Gavin Newsom, or Gavin Nuisance, as I like to call him. So at any rate, apparently this idiot has proposed something brand new. I want everybody to pay attention out there now, because I'm going to join with the governor here just a minute to show you that we here at Radio Free Los Angeles can reach across the aisle to do something besides slap them. Okay, so Governor Gavin Newsom here has proposed spending $50 million this fiscal year to expand child savings account programs similar to the one in San Francisco that he started in 2010 when he was mayor. Oh, interesting. San Francisco's program called, these guys are so clever, Kindergarten to the number 2 college, or K2C, automatically opens an account at Citibank for children entering a San Francisco public school and seeds it with $50. Boy, how generous. The city spends about $1 million a year on the program, and families who contribute to the account and register it online can get up to $90 in one-time matching funds provided by donors and nonprofit organizations. Now, where do I start with this guy? So, comment number 1 is that it is chutzpah. I got Brent calling in here. He knows how to spell chutzpah, right? He's not guilty of it. I'm just saying he knows how to spell it. Gavin Newsom has the chutzpah to start a savings program. And I guess the whole idea, Jonathan, is that somehow, some way, the state of California, are going to teach fiscal prudence. right?
That's hilarious.
To first graders, right? And you could just see him, like one of these old banker types in a Groucho Marx or W.C. Fields movie. It said, "Now, son, you must be prudent. You must learn how to save. Money can just run right through your fingers if you don't watch what you spend. Learn how to save. Start early. Don't overspend. Have a budget. Follow that budget. Set money aside for a rainy day. You never know when your pension plans might be $1.5 trillion underwater." Right? Right. So you, Paco, Little Joe, Tyrone, you guys pay attention here, because one of these days you're going to be running this state. It is just outrageous. But anyway, I said I was going to reach out to do something besides slap him. All right, I got the slap done. Now, we here at Radio Free Los Angeles and School Choice 2020, we want to join with the governor, and instead of $50, we want to put $17,000 per year into that account, and give those families something to manage and let them go out and get real education, because you, Gavin Newsom, and the rest of the government school system are broke. Right down here, talk about broke. And imagine the LAUSD. These teachers are going to teach us what? Why just their employment benefits, their health insurance is unfunded, upside down, $13 billion in LAUSD. They're bleeding cash. They owe far more money than they could do. And so from the same people who can't tell a man from a woman and who are going to teach your kid how to be a tranny, those people are now going to teach finance, don't you know? And they're going to give each one of these kids $50, which is chump change anyway. They're going to save it now. Don't spend it all in one place here. If you want to do something good with it, maybe give it to the teachers fund of the union. Absolutely outrageous. But in any way, Gav, call us. We'd love to talk to you about it, because we want to work with you to really bulk up those savings accounts. We're glad you're with us on this subject. Join in, because California, you and I together, Gavin, we can make California golden again. Really, we can. We need to get that money, and we can improve education at no additional expense, have money left over, and launch these kids into a real quality college education. What do you say? Join with me. Hey, Gav, let's do it for the children. Huh? Do it together. But read that. Go to the San Francisco Chronicle. Do not drink coffee or smoke while reading that article. Let me tell you. Hey, we got my friend Brent from Los Angeles. He's calling in. How's it going with you, Brent? How did you like that Gavin Newsom proposal?
I don't like any gruesome proposal. First, hello, Mike, and hi, John.
Hey, Brent.
And I don't think anybody knows how to really sell chutzpah. What do? You just have to spit it out with vehemence. And
isn't it CHUZPAH? I used to something like that, but I used to mispronounce it because I had no idea how to pronounce a Hebrew word.
Well, it's pronounced with a ch in Hebrew.
Chutzpah,
so
right.
We don't have it in English.
Right.
It's just one of those words that shows arrogance and lying and deception. And that's kind of what I was calling in about.
Yeah. About
the idea that, I've been hearing every once in a while now how the Democrats always say we're demonizing them. We demonize the leadership of the Democratic Party. And in no way do we demonize them. We don't have to demonize them. They are demonic. They are the definition of demonic. And just going down the list from this week, if we're talking about Jesse Smollett, we're talking Governor Newsom, Bernie, Biden, Cortez, just going to the Ten Commandments, every one is in violation. And with Jesse, with bearing false witness, taking God's name in vain, coveting, stealing, with abortion, murdering, believing in the idol of state slavery, which they prefer to call socialism, and outlawing God in school. Every one of the Ten Commandments, you can go down it, and that is the definition of being demonic.
Yes.
And so I think we have to recognize they're always trying to demonize us. And every time they open their mouth, they are accusing us of all the crimes and falsehoods of which they possess the monopoly on.
Right. It's classic projection. It's a classic psychiatric symptom, but also projection is a key part of propaganda. Mm-hmm. And we can see just how powerful propaganda is. It started heavily in the 1920s, and it has never looked back. And propaganda is just as evil today as it ever was. Although I will say this, Mr. Hearst's day passed. The term yellow journalism was coined to describe the Hearst attempts to, well, I wouldn't say attempts, but the work that they did to get us into the Spanish-American War in 1898, we've been rushed into several such things in the past. But these days, I think the proliferation of the media is a net positive. And I've observed several times here over the last 10 years that even at a time when the left seems to have total control, here in California, 5.5 out of 6 million students are under the control of the California Teachers Union, Democrat operatives, each and every one of them practically. They control the universities, the media, the culture, the government, the bureaucracies, the administrative agencies. And yet, when we go back and look at the election in 2008 and 2012, even with all of that going for them, they never break 50. They fall below that, and Clinton, I don't think ever broke 50%. I'm talking about Bill. And Hillary has never broken 50% in the approval ratings, and it was a huge mistake to run her. She didn't even get over 50% positive views half the time. And she was, after all, the world's smartest person. My point is that our system is so open and the opportunities are so many, and our country is still so great that the left has to work overtime and absolutely struggles to win their elections, at least at the presidential level. And that's why if those of us who are sincere about this will bind together and work to take back our children's minds, their hearts, and their souls, I believe that we can reverse this. Their victory, their control, their success hinges on slight movements in the black vote and very slight movements in the Latino vote. It is astonishing how close the dang thing is,
And you were bringing up Dinesh D'Souza and never dropping the con. The reason none of the Democrats, none of the government grifters would ever dream to come on your show is they're terrorized of you. They're terrorized of anybody who will speak the truth. They can't stand up to it. And so what happens is none of the people on the left believe deeply in anything. Our beliefs are deep. They go right to our core, to our essence. Their beliefs, you scratch the surface and they start to crumble. And that's why they have to keep the lie and the lie and the lie. And they will never even, put onto their networks news any of all the garbage we're always hearing with Smollett and with the Covington kids and with Gruesome. I mean, Gruesome he's now stealing $3 billion from the federal government on this ridiculous train.
I know, isn't this great? Yeah, and apparently Trump, the Trump administration, is going to either demand repay. I think it's going to do two things. It's not going to send money that they had committed because they have fallen short of their milestones, and they're going to ask to get the money back. So it looks like maybe Trump will have an opportunity to sue California. He's a defendant in about 25 lawsuits, so I guess he can at least get over on offense just once and go after this train. And since you raised the issue of the train, I've had so many people mention, that thing has never carried a passenger. And of course, I tell people all the time, it was never intended to carry passengers.
Exactly.
It was only intended to transport our money to them.
It's a con.
It's a con. It's a fraud, a hustle, and a con. And everybody who works in the system, remember, go back to my Principia Politica that I've been talking about from day one. The first job of government, whether it's federal, state, or local, is to grow itself. Everybody inside who's employed by government is there to help grow government. And by that definition, each and every one of them is a paid, partisan, political activists. They're there to grow the darn thing. That's what they're there for. And when they got your kids in front of them, those kids are revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, they and every kid that comes here from another country, they want them as young as they can get them because they represent $1 million worth of cash flow to their system over the next 10, 15, or 20 years and beyond. You see, it's a fraud, a hustle, and a con, and we have to stop treating these people as if they were entitled to be considered, or to deal with them as if we had legitimate differences of opinion. We don't have, that you got a guy who puts a gun to your head, a gun to your wife's head, and then rapes your wife, smacks your kids, and takes all your money. That's not a difference of opinion.
Going back.
That's assault. Yeah, that's rape, robbery, and murder.
Mm-hmm. And going back to the demonization of this thing with children, nobody detests children more than the Democrats do.
Right.
And they're either murdering them
right.
in the womb, or now with Gruesom's pre-kindergarten indoctrination program.
Right.
They either propagandize them, using them. They don't seem to have a problem with child sex slavery or what's coming across the border. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
That's right. These are really, really bad people, and they need to be rejected, and I think are increasingly rejected. We can only rejoice that to use Dennis Prager's excellent and elegant characterization, that we are achieving clarity. Mm-hmm. Dennis always says he prefers clarity to agreement. You don't want to just get somebody to agree with you as a matter of accommodation or settlement. Mm-hmm. It's far better to achieve clarity about your ideas so that everybody understands what's going on. And right now, these people couldn't be more clear than they are. Hey, Brent, it's good talking to you. My producer over here, okay. Jonathan Wilson, he's getting ready to go. He's off the carpet.
Yeah.
They're calling up. It's time
this is so exciting.
Hey, music. Maestro, please.
And now, live from Glendale, California, it's this week's Government Grifter Awards, with nominees again from the Los Angeles Unified School District. And what an exciting night out there tonight.
Yes.
All the red carpet. And you can watch us on Facebook to see what we're wearing tonight. I love what you're wearing. What is that, Mike?
Well, I think it's Duluth Trading Company.
Well, you're looking very debonair.
Yeah, deboner.
Yeah. All right. Well, our first.
I went to LAUSD.
That's right. Our first nominee, in the spirit of the Academy Awards tonight, is the Executive Director of Arts Education Program.
ED, huh?
That's right.
ED, Arts Education Program. All right.
2017 total pay and benefits, $213,000 a year.
Oh, jeez.
It's a very glamorous job.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
Will they teach scribbling and spray painting on the walls? Graffiti. Director of graffiti. And then we have a director of graffiti removal at LAUSD. How much does he make?
I didn't look that one up.
Okay.
All right, our next nominee is the Director of Communications and Media Relations.
Oh, jeez.
Coming in with a 2017 total pay and benefits of $226,000 a year.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Our third nominee is the Director of Environmental Health and Safety.
What the hell's that? It's the school system?
I don't know.
Right.
With a total pay and benefits of $227,000 a year.
Yeah, I think I know what that guy does. He makes sure that the office where those dope smokers, where they smoke dope and come up with their budget estimates and their salary, that must be the guy.
But we'll never know unless he calls
runs the
in.
ventilation system.
Okay, and we have a nominee from Facebook, Nick from Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
he said he would like to throw his nomination to the entire Los Angeles school.
The whole damn thing.
The whole district. And so we believe that's a very good nomination.
Yeah, see, somebody's out there working. We had to go to the East Coast to get some help out of you people.
The entire district. All right, drum roll, please.
All right.
And the winner of this week's Government Grifter Awards is the entire Los Angeles Unified School District.
Hello, you're so right.
We are feeling very generous tonight.
That's
Congratulations,
That's right.
LAUSD.
That's right.
You all deserve this award.
Everybody's equal, right?
That's right.
Everybody's a
That's
winner.
right. That's
is
right.
That what they teach?
Everybody gets a trophy tonight.
That's it, man. Yeah, and just remember, you say, my LAUSD is a student of the month.
That's
or
right.
Government Grifter of the week.
So call in and claim your trophy.
Yeah, we do, man, because we want to know what the hell you do for that kind of money. All right. Well, we have our fun here. It is, sorry. I mean, if you don't laugh, you'll surely cry, and that's why these clowns are upside down. LAUSD is broke. The whole darn thing is broke, and these guys out here running all these systems, including a whole bunch of Republicans, ought to be horsewhipped for presiding over all of this. But that's what we do here at Radio Free Los Angeles. We want you to understand the connections here between local and state and federal. Between them all, they spend $8 trillion a year. Over $4 trillion of it is spent at the state and local. That's where most of the political operatives are. They employ more people than the federal government. That's where the big employment is. That's where the political organizations are. And we must break up that monopoly, because these public schools are not only a monopoly on so-called education in the future, they are also a political monopoly. They represent an incredible network of political operatives, and is something else. And as we go in, just one last comment on McCabe and all those people. The people that I'm really most angry at are the Republicans who really aren't speaking out on this issue, on this coup we've got going. And so I've decided to pay tribute to another Academy Award movie. I'm now calling the Republicans no longer the Vichy Republicans. I'm calling it the Silence of the Lambs. All right. And so we wrap up another one. Jonathan, thanks for a great job.
Another fun show. Thank you, Mike.
It was great. We'll see you all next week. Thank you, everybody here at KRLA. Next week.